There's nothing quite like remembering how incredibly insignificant we are to cure our anxiety, or fuel a different kind of anxiety, depending on how we react to this. Existential dread occurs when we are confronted with the vastness of the universe and how small and insignificant our place within it truly is. One of the easiest ways to trigger this uneasy feeling is by facing the incomprehensible vastness of space. So, when we jumped back into No Man's Sky, it didn't take long to remember that this is basically Existential Dread, the video game. Existential dread is a form of anxiety, but like most people, we deal with much smaller anxieties every day. We get stuck in our own head, trapped in downward spirals, overthinking every little detail from the past and the future, whether actually important or inconsequential. But when we're confronted with just how tiny we are in the grand scheme of the cosmos, thanks to No Man's Sky, these everyday anxieties can suddenly feel so trivial. So maybe there's a way to counteract the small-scale anxieties with the large-scale existential dread. Maybe we can find the perfect balance between the two that will let us live our life free of pointless fears. And just maybe we can do all that the same way we try to solve all our other problems. Sinking 25 hours into a video game that's honestly kind of pointless, but in this scenario, its pointlessness is the point and therefore actually good. Part 1. Is No Man's Sky a meaningless game? When we start playing No Man's Sky, it's a lot. There's about 5 hours of tutorials introducing us to the game's basic systems like gathering resources, crafting, flying between planets and stars, making money, getting upgrades, completing missions, base building, and much more. The amount of things to do in this game is overwhelming. Every time we start feeling comfortable with one system, like wrapping our head around the various purposes of visiting space stations, we catch a glimpse of some other new, previously unconsidered possibility, like being 12 hours into our playthrough before we realized piracy was even an option, and only because we just happened to stumble across it. Unless we're prepared to invest hundreds of hours into playing No Man's Sky, we have to accept that we just won't be able to do everything, and that to properly enjoy the game, we can't rush the experience, instead focusing on one path at a time. Thanks to the sandbox nature of this game, we are given the choice on how to spend our time, able to ignore entire sections and systems of the game at will. If we want to, we can solely focus on building a really cool base, or upgrading our ship, or visiting every planet and documenting the majestic wildlife. With this approach, I was enjoying my time in this game, but the more I played, the more I progressed, the more milestones and missions I completed, I started wondering, why am I doing any of this? I am definitely not the first to say this, but I think No Man's Sky's biggest problem is that it's as wide as an ocean, but deep as a puddle. The game is basically infinite, but to have such a vast, fully explorable universe, the game relies heavily on procedural generation. As a result, sure, there's tons of things to do, but no individual task feels like it's been curated or designed to feel significant or deep. To us, this isn't necessarily a negative. When the ocean is as wide as an entire universe and we can freely go wherever we want, and there's enough variation in the planets, tasks, and choices, it never feels boring. It's exciting and engaging enough. And even after playing pretty consistently the last few weeks, we still want to go back and keep exploring, upgrading, progressing. But despite that, when we are playing, we still get this vague thought in the back of our mind that everything we're working towards and everything we've already done is all a bit pointless. And sure, every video game is pointless to some degree, but even other similar survival crafting games that we've really enjoyed haven't had this problem. So what's the difference? Do these games need to have total creative freedom, or an intriguing setting and scenario, or a driving, mysterious narrative, or really satisfying progression? But No Man's Sky does have all of these, to some extent. I think the difference is that while all video games are technically pointless, no other game makes us, the player, feel so insignificant within the game itself. And we're not even talking about the story, the main story missions, which kind of embrace this idea as well. For example, our main base. We found a bunch of salvaged data to unlock new building blueprints. We collected materials to construct those blueprints, decided exactly where to place those parts, hired and completed missions for workers to live here, filled a storage container with all the crap we'd collected, documented tormented or the animals we'd run into on this moon. If there were no floating markers telling us exactly where to find this single building, all those hours of gameplay and progression would be virtually impossible to locate on this planet-sized planet. And this isn't even a big planet. This is actually one of the smallest moons that we found. So let me just stress this once more. This is our base on one little moon in a system of 5 planets around one star in a galaxy full of stars that looks like this. Everything we can possibly do in No Man's Sky, even the most permanent leaving our mark thing, has statistically 0 impact on this universe. Remember what we said at the start? Existential dread, the game, right here. So then why keep playing such a pointless and existentially terrifying game? Why play any game if they're all as pointless as this? Why do anything ever when we live in a universe that's basically as infinite as the one in No Man's Sky? Doesn't that just make everything pointless? Exactly. Part 2 is life a meaningless existence? Anxiety, huh? Please comment below if you have ever felt like this, and I know some people have because these internal fears are in no way special, original, or exclusive to me. Social situations make us nervous. We're constantly afraid to say the wrong thing. We're desperate to be liked by everyone and only seek external approval, so struggle to admit our true feelings if it might cause disagreement or confrontation. We're afraid of failure, a perfectionist. Want to achieve so much that we set unrealistically high expectations in everything we do. And if they aren't met, we give up. Or we're so afraid to be bad at something new that if the possibility of failure is there, we will never even try. We struggle to feel content or happy with what we have in the moment. Always want something more, different and better, but don't want to take risks leaving our comfort zone, so instead spiral into our thoughts and end up never going anywhere or doing anything. We aren't saying this for sympathy. Do not feel bad for me. The point is just that when these very real but very irrational anxieties are happening, in that moment they feel like the most important things in the world. But we only have to take one small step back to realize how pointless our entire life is, let alone just each of these dumb little fears. In No Man's Sky, the anomaly, station, and the nexus is one of the few places we actually see other players. And we were so used to being alone and feeling insignificant in this vast universe that the first time we came here, it actually kind of freaked us out, because each one of these players is on their own journey completely separate to ours. In the game, they've found different stars and planets, built different ships, focused on different activities to get them to where they are, a path completely individual to them. But even beyond the game, each of these players is a real person with their own real problems and joys and hobbies, relationships, jobs, goals, tasks, and of course anxieties that feel world-ending when they're happening. And how much do we factor into any of that? Absolute 0. We already felt insignificant in No Man's Sky's universe, but around the 10 or 15 or so other players in the Nexus, we somehow feel more insignificant. But guess what? There are 27 million people in Australia where we live, and I haven't even met most of them. There are over 8 billion individual human beings in the world, all with their own lives as significant to them as ours is to us. Every human that has ever existed, an estimated 117 billion people, the history of our entire species is just a speck of dust, 200,000 years or so to the Earth's 4.5 billion. Our solar system is incomprehensibly huge compared to Earth. The galaxy vast beyond that, the universe even more vast beyond that. We literally cannot process the vastness of time and space that the universe is running on. And in all of that, we are just one tiny little person, one tiny little life with tiny little pointless problems. On the scale of the universe, humanity's entire history is meaningless, let alone us as one little guy who plays video games and writes stories and cries on the internet. When we step back like this and consider how truly insignificant we are and pointless our life is, it's terrifying, but also maybe actually really good. Part 3. Yes, the answer is yes, everything is meaningless, but maybe that's good. Video games are not the same as reality. We know that. We spent 16 minutes talking about why in our last video. But No Man's Sky does still provide some lessons that can translate to real life. When we can not only see the infinite vastness of space, but also virtually fly through it and personally witness it with our own eyes, our life never feels more insignificant and pointless. But when that existential dread creeps in, instead of being terrified, maybe we can use it to realize that if there's no point to our existence, all our hopes and dreams and goals and happiness, then there's also no point to our problems. No point worrying about dumb little anxieties. We are all going to die one day. In less than 100 years, we'll be dead, and no one will remember us. In 1,000 years, or maybe far less than that, humanity will probably be dead or long gone. In the billions of years that the scale of the universe moves on, again, kind of terrifying and depressing, but it doesn't have to be. It can be liberating. If our time here is so infinitesimal, so brief and therefore pointless, well then we might as well just fucking do what brings us joy and have a good time while we're here. I mean, what are the chances that we are alive with awareness and consciousness right now in the history of the entire universe to enjoy the things we enjoy, create and consume art, spend time with the people we care about, all that positive shit. Now, disclaimer, we're not saying that because life is meaningless and nothing matters, we should just do whatever we want. We can't go around hurting people or committing crimes or anything. But we can't keep letting petty anxiety hold us back from what might or probably will bring us joy. I'll also be the first to point out the hypocrisy here, because we do not live life this way most of the time, but we do want to. I guess that's why we made this video. It's more of a, we want to do this more, and less a, do this because I do this. Do as I say, not as I. As mentioned earlier, I don't think that No Man's Sky's lack of depth is a bad thing. In fact, again, the game itself brings up this concept multiple times throughout the main story missions. But what drives us to want to keep playing isn't the promise of some fulfilling, satisfying end goal we'll never reach, because there isn't one. The enjoyment comes from our unique journey, our decisions and our progress, the planets we found, the gear we unlocked and upgraded, the dumb animals we found and tamed and rode. The meaning we attribute to that journey is what makes it worthwhile. That's the beauty of this game. The meaning is created by us, giving it meaning. Outside of any of that, it is pointless. The pointlessness of the game is the point. Just like our insignificant little life. The pointlessness, the insignificance, the meaninglessness of life is the point in itself, if we can just learn to enjoy the time we have along the way. So next time we feel anxious about talking to someone or trying something new we might suck at, or worrying about the goals we have or haven't achieved, we'll try to remember No Man's Sky and the existential dread it instills in us. We'll try to remember the incomprehensible size of the universe and our dumb anxieties being so pointless that we should just do the thing because we're here and might as well take some risks and enjoy the journey because that's why we exist. The worst thing that can happen is we fail, or it's embarrassing, or whatever. And then what? Who cares? People won't remember. No one remembers anything. Humanity won't remember. The Earth, the solar system, the galaxy, the universe certainly won't remember. Nothing fucking matters, so might as well just have fun with it. That's the point. That's it. The end. Subscribe, like, comment. Bye!